Hey, how y'all doing? Aubrey, what's your Yahweh this week?
Probably not just the Ash Wednesday service as a whole, but just like parts of it that really spoke to me. And
Yeah, that's what mine is as well. Thanks for asking. My Yahweh is also the Ash Wednesday service, and specifically like the part where they say like you came from dust and you will return to dust. Like that, like
he didn't say that to me.
Oh, well, Miss Carol said that to me.
Oh, okay.
Miss Carol was like, Haley, you came from dust and you will return to dust. And that was like, it gave me like chills because I've been reading Genesis and like, you know, like they like,
Yeah.
I like read about how they came from dust and like da. And I was like, I just thought it was kind of cool. So I really liked that. So I had a good time.
Okay. What are we talking about today, Haley?
I'm sharing my testimony this week. So last week, if you listened in, you heard Aubrey's testimony. So this week, I'll be sharing mine. Also, look, Aubrey matches my cup. I just need to put a red wig on it.
What are you doing? Oh my God. I can't even see. It's not funny.
So I grew up in the church, and like I remember going to Sunday school and going to children's church and all of that, but I wouldn't say I really remember much of whatever, like ever learning much or doing much or like remember exactly any much of that. But like my parents would always bring us to church most Sundays. They would bring us to the church I still go to now. And like they would bring us most Sundays, at least to like what I would remember. But they got divorced, but we still went to church. And then my stepmom came into my life and she started the habit of us going like every Sunday for like a while there. And then COVID hit, so we didn't have that habit anymore. But for a while, we were going like every single Sunday. And I did not like it. I did not like going every Sunday because we had to go to early service. And so we had to wake up really early. And like we still would go with my mom too, but I just remember going every Sunday with my stepmom and my dad. And we had to go to early service, and it was like awful. I just didn't like it because I couldn't go to children's church, but like I was still like in elementary school at this point. So, but they wouldn't let me come to children's church anymore because of whoever the children's person was. And so I like didn't have fun because I just had to sit there and I like couldn't listen, like I couldn't pay attention because I have such a bad attention span. And so I would just be sitting there and I like hated it because I would just be like, I need to go home. I want to go back to sleep because I love to sleep in. Like I'm awful about waking up. So I did not like it. But then COVID hit, and so we stopped going every Sunday. So we stopped going every Sunday. That's what kind of broke our habit of going every Sunday. But my 6th grade year, this was before COVID hit. We were going every Sunday, and 6th graders at my church, they do confirmation, and so my parents, me and my brother was in 8th grade, but they wanted us to do it at the same time. So I was in 6th grade and he was in 8th grade, and we did confirmation together. And that is what like gave me my first spark of like anything really. And so I got brought into confirmation class, and I did it every Sunday school. I did it every Sunday, and like this was like the first time like I remember ever like enjoying. Like I'm sure I enjoyed it when I was like little going to church and like going to children's church, but like I don't remember it. So like this was like the first time I remember it and enjoy it, going to church and having a good time and like enjoy what I was learning, because I found it really fascinating learning about all the history of the church and the history of like the Bible and all of that stuff and like everything about it. And so I found it really interesting. And we also, with my confirmation class, like we went and we visited a synagogue, and that was like super cool to me because I find it really interesting to learn about other religions. Like even if like I don't like believe in that stuff, I think it's interesting to learn about it because I just think it's interesting. So like that kind of was how I learned about other things. So I found that it was like a good thing for me to learn about other things. So it kind of gave me that. And so with confirmation class, my then youth leader, he would always talk about youth group in there. And so I was like, okay, well, what's this all about? Like, he was like, every Wednesday we have youth, blah, blah, blah. Like, we have games, we have this, we have that. And so I was like, well, what's this all about? Like, I feel like I need to go. Like, it sounds fun. And so I ended up going like one Wednesday in like February, I remember. And I like remember what I wore and everything. I remember what I wore. And I was so nervous to go, but I had such a good time, and I went like every Wednesday since then, and I've gone every Wednesday since then, basically. But I would always go, but when I went back then, I don't think I necessarily would say I went for all the right reasons. I mean, yeah, it was a good thing I was going, getting Jesus, but I was really more going for the social aspect and the games and stuff, because in middle school, I didn't have the easiest time making friends and having a lot of like social people. And so church, like when I found that those people at church, it was really good for me. And so I found a good community at church. And so that's why I would go to Wednesdays mostly, was to be around that community and to play the fun games. But it was like Jesus was on the back burner. He was just like an added bonus. Mm-hmm. He wasn't necessarily the main focus of why I went. So it's not, I kind of feel bad that's why I went, but I mean, it's the truth, so I'm going to say it. Mm-hmm. So, but at the end of confirmation class, I got baptized. I think that was in like April. Mm-hmm. It's like April 18th, I think, is when I got baptized, and I got confirmed to our church, so I became a member of the church. But when I got baptized and everything, I don't feel like I was truly submitted to Jesus and truly getting baptized for the right reasons. I feel like I was just getting baptized because everyone was like, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of the thing. And like I thought, in that moment, I thought, oh yeah, I'm getting baptized for the right reasons. I'm doing good. Everything's good. But now looking back, I feel as though I want to get re-baptized and for the right reasons, and like now that I'm fully submitted and fully into it. So, but I did get baptized, and it was really cool. And I got baptized with my brother, so that was fun as well. But it was, looking back, I don't feel as though it was the most appropriate time for me to have gotten baptized. Mm-hmm. Now I was a part of youth group at this point, and I went on Sundays with my family, but I wouldn't say, just because I did all this, I wouldn't say that at this point in middle school, I didn't feel very close to God. I wouldn't say I did. Because middle school was an extremely hard time for me, and just for many reasons, and I feel like one of the biggest reasons is because I was alone, and I had someone who was there the whole time, but I didn't even realize it. And looking back, it's just like kind of sad to realize that there was someone there that I could have depended on, and that was God. But I found him now, so it's okay. So then COVID hit, and we stopped going to Sunday because Sunday get canceled, and so we stopped going to Sundays, and we stopped going to Wednesday nights gets canceled. And that was really hard for me because I lost my social aspect of friends and people and everything, because
there was no school.
Yeah. And I didn't have school, but I didn't like school at that point, so I didn't really care.
But still,
there was still also no
no social interaction.
There was no social interaction at all, and I couldn't get it from church anyways, so it was hard. But yeah, because my church friends at this point were like really my only friends. Even if I wasn't even like honestly that close with that many like certain people at church, I just had a community, and I had those people. Like it was comforting during middle school. But so then COVID, and I was pretty much just alone, and it was not that good, but whatever. COVID was not a good time for me either. But then I started high school, and I joined HOSA. And that was my freshman year. And I don't even remember, like, much about my freshman year other than HOSA. Like, I don't remember anything about it. Like, any of my classes, I don't remember any of that. I just, like, don't interact very well with a lot of people my age. So,
Oh, sorry.
I just, like, I don't know why. But I don't remember much of my freshman year, but I've changed a lot since then. And a lot has changed, and yeah, it was all a blur of just like I had so many classes.
A blur.
Everything's been a blur. I don't even remember. It's all blurs together. And I had a lot going on freshman year. Like I had a lot of classes freshman year. Like it was
like 4 freshmen, yeah.
Like 4 freshmen specifically. I had a lot of classes. Like I should have not been taking that many, but that's besides the point. It was a lot. But I joined HOSA, and that was like the year I got super involved with HOSA and like became best friends with Aubrey and like met all these people and like became best friends with all my friends that I am now friends with. And like it was, yeah, so that's when I like made my community. Like I made my community that year. And that's like my biggest thing is like I made my people. I surrounded myself with the correct people, and that's ultimately the only way I feel like I found God. And I feel like that was totally his planning, because he set those people in my life so that way I would lead it back to him. Like, and it's just like crazy to look back on, and but it's so awesome. So with HOSA, I had these 2 teachers, and they were like the most God, beautiful, Christ-like people ever. And they always were just like, they were really good role models for me.
Makes me want to cry, sorry.
They were really good role models for me for my walk and through my walk. And so just having them, and like especially like coming out of middle school and having such a hard time in middle school and coming into high school and having all these people in this community like was really game changer for me. And so then having them and them showing me how wonderful Christ was, it was like really cool and really amazing for me. And so they've shown me so much of God's love and God's grace throughout the years, and so that's like they've been a really good role model for me. And like with them, we've gotten another one because one left, and we're not retired. One left, and someone else took her place, and she also is just as much like shown and been a role model for me, and it's so amazing. And so like I just got surrounded with all the right people at the right time, and I built this community, and it was perfect. This was at the point Aubrey Grace had joined we had hosted competitions, and Aubrey Grace joined our public health, and she took place with someone else, and so she was joining it. So that's how we like really became like really close that summer, because we were working so much together, and we had to go to HOSA internationals. We went to Nashville that year, and we had a great time in Nashville that year. And like
when we really got like close.
That's when we got close because we had been like friends my whole freshman year because we knew each other, and like we played tennis together, and like so we like knew each other, but we weren't like besties. But when we went to HOSA internationals, we became besties. And to me, as like this little freshman who like didn't know much, Aubrey was literally is not like a month older than me, but she was a whole sophomore, so she was older than me. She was so much as this little freshman to me. And Aubrey Grace at that point, for who I was like a perfect Christian to me. And Aubrey Grace was like this light. It was like, I can't explain it, but and we also had like a class together freshman year too. So like I saw how like she was like this person, and to other people too, like she was just this like, I was like, wow, I want to be like her because she's so kind to others. She's so sorry. Don't cry.
Okay, keep going. I'm not gonna mess up my makeup again.
No, sorry. Like I just saw how kind and gracious she was towards others, and like I realized why she was like that was because of God. And I was like, I want to be like that. Like that's so amazing, and so I want to do that. And so I was like, I want to just model my life after her because she's doing so amazing. And so it was just, so sophomore year, Aubrey Grace had a great influence on me and who I became and what I was doing. And it really, like, she didn't cuss, and so I tried not to cuss. She didn't follow the trends and the things, so I didn't do that. I was sitting here following, like, I'd always been such a, I'm gonna do it by myself, but Aubrey Grace, like, I was like, Aubrey Grace is just so sweet, and I just wanted, and I like, subconsciously did this, like, I didn't even, like, mean to do this, but I subconsciously did it, because you were just such a good person to me, and I wanted to be like that. And that's with, like, all of my community that I had surrounded myself. I saw this good community, and I was like, I need to follow that if I want to actually get close to the Lord, like how these people are. So that's when I was like, okay, yeah. And then, so I had Aubrey Grace be such a good influence on me, and then I got a new youth pastor, which I loved my youth pastor I had before. And so when I got this new one, I was not ready, because I am awful, like, so bad with change. I'm actually a lot better now, and I believe that's because of the Lord, so per word. And so I'm really bad with change, and I don't like it. And so when we were getting this new youth pastor, I was like, no, I don't want a new youth pastor. Like, I was just now, like, getting my life together, figuring out what I was gonna be, and, like, who I was gonna follow, and, like anything. I was literally just now figuring everything out. And I was like, no, I can't have something change. Like, I need it now. But then we got this new youth pastor, and she started coming and giving sermons, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I like this, because she was so amazing for me as a growing Christian. Like, I just can't explain that. So Emma came, our new youth pastor, she came, and she is a lot closer in age to us, and she's also a girl. Our other youth pastor, he was a guy, which, I mean, like, that's, like, just, like, whatever. But, like, she was a girl, and so she had this, like, completely different perspective on Jesus that was very similar to what relatable to what I wanted to see and what I needed to see. So having that on my walk right when I needed it was, like, perfect, because having her show me all these sermons that I, like, could directly relate to was like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what's wrong with me right now. And now I know who I need to go to, Jesus, when I'm hurting. And it was just like, having all her sermons was just so impactful in changing my perspective of who I need to depend on and stuff. And so just her perspective on everything really helped shape what I thought, and it was very helpful. Because, like, now I found myself actually listening and enjoying and, like, understanding the sermons, because before I just, like, didn't, and it's partially because I was too young and didn't want to, but now I was starting to, and so I really was relating and, like, putting that into play in my own life. And so she instilled so many habits into us as well, like journaling. And during church, I started drawing instead of just sitting there, because I can't just sit and pay attention. And so I paid attention so much more in church because of these habits she instilled in us. And it was just so insane, like, the impact it was and the change I noticed, like, having those changes she gave us. And then Emma would always, like, reference the Bible, obviously, and she would be like, okay, I'm gonna go to Matthew. Where's Matthew? And we would all have to be like, okay, New Testament. And then we should be like, okay, well, what part of the New Testament? Gospels. And so, like, it would always be like a game, and, like, I want to win. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I want to win. So I didn't know, because I didn't know the Bible at this point. And I was like, I need to learn the Bible. And so her constantly, like, bringing in the Bible and, like, getting us to interact with it, like, made me, okay, well, I need to go read the Bible so that way I know these questions and I know where she's getting this from. And so that's when I started my Bible in a Year plan. And the rest is history. No, I'm just kidding. I started in the Bible in a Year plan, and wow, that was really helpful for me, because that was the first time I'd ever read the Bible, like, read the Bible. And that's, like, kind of weird to think, like, oh, just throw someone in and just read, like, 5 chapters of the Bible a day. That is a lot. Like, that is a lot of a Bible.
I can't do it. Sorry.
No. I couldn't do it now. Like I don't know how I did it for a year. Like that it was a lot. But I was really dedicated to it because I wanted to get my goal every day. I wanted to finish it. I wanted to do it, and I wanted to learn more because I was learning so much, and it was so interesting. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know any of this before, and now I do. And it was just so like all of this information was here and I didn't know. And it was just like crazy to me. And I started doing Bible plans on the app, which I had never done before. Like I'd never done devotional plans or anything before, and so I started doing those and I loved them. And I was like, I've been missing out on all of this my whole life. And I'm just like, I thought it was just crazy how I was just now finding this at 16, 17 years old, however old, I think I was 16 years old. And I was just like, wow, but whatever. And so I started doing that and learning just so much about the Bible and like sharing it with others too. Like I was getting to share it with others, which helped me because then it just felt like everything I was doing was like I was accomplishing something because I got to share it with others more. And also, I actually understood what I was reading, which was something crazy to me because I feel like a lot of times I may have read bits and pieces of the Bible before, but I never understood it, and now I was, so it was like, whoa. But yeah. And another thing that I finally accomplished was when I was reading the Bible, like, so it always talked about prayer, and I had always been terrified of praying in front of others, and I had always been terrified at praying in front of others. Like I just like am awful at it, I thought, and like I just like can't do it, and I just like don't know what to say, and like I just couldn't do it. And then finally I just like got better at praying to myself and finally praying in general. And then I just finally got courage to be able to start praying for others and praying out loud and just doing it at church and in small groups and just like praying out loud. And it just was like crazy that I was able to start doing that because I was like didn't think I'd ever be able to pray out loud for people because it was such a daunting thing for me. And so it was crazy to be able to start doing that now. Having all these changes, like these great changes, like seeing my personality change throughout it has been crazy because I think I'm just a totally different person. Like I'm still me. I feel like I still have a lot of me, but like I'm a nicer person. Like I'm a better version of me, which is because of him, and it's just wow. And like
God ate that.
Yeah, totally. And I like approach everything so differently than how I did before, and that's because I have so many more like weapons in my toolbox to sit here and like know how to handle things, which I didn't before because I didn't know how to handle anything. And like that's why I struggled so much in middle school because I didn't know how to handle anything, but now I do because I actually read the Bible and I know his word and I know he's there and all that thing. So it's just like crazy like having that there. And I've changed a lot since the girl who got baptized 5 years ago. And it's just like that's why I want to get rebaptized. Like a lot has changed since the girl who got baptized.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that girl anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I've definitely surrounded myself with people who support me and help me and has helped me in my journey with the Christ and who have helped me with my journey in Christ.
Yes.
Which is definitely a game changer, is having worldly people help you because you need people down here to help you with him up there. So also, like, after reading the Bible and, like, getting closer to God, I've been able to, like, talk to, like, mentors and people, like, I feel like a lot more deeply than I was before. So that's just, like, something I was, like, I really enjoyed being able to actually do that, so. Yeah.
Okay, leading off from that, then I'm gonna ask her a few questions, and this question goes along with that. So, who has been some of the most beneficial people in your walk with Christ?
You.
Aww.
I would say Aubrey Grace and probably Emma, my youth pastor, and probably my grandmother. She is just like also a really good role model for me, and so she's always been like this perfect little Christian, and also like getting to talk to her about how I've changed has been amazing. So
okay, when did you start to notice a change in your life Was it gradual or
Well,
was it?
I feel like it was like, I noticed when we started the podcast, I was like, wow, I've
Actually, no stuff.
like when we started the podcast, like that's when I noticed a change. I don't know when I really changed. Like I don't know. You don't notice when your own self was changing. But when we started the podcast and I was really talking about like things that I was like, wow, I wouldn't have known this a few years ago. Like
Yeah.
I've changed a lot, and that's because of the Lord, and it's really amazing.
Do you feel your testimony has a start or a stop point?
I think it really started with that 6th grade confirmation. Like, I feel like that's when it all started, even if it didn't spark all the way.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have an ending point, like you said
No.
last week. I mean, your testimony's still going. I'm going to have ups and downs all throughout it, so.
Okay. Has any book or books of the Bible been super beneficial during your walk?
One of the books that I read and, like, really, like, wrote a bunch of notes on, and that's when I started writing a bunch of notes and highlighting more, and I was like, whoa, like, the Bible, like, it actually has a lot to say, was Romans or 1 Corinthians. I read both of those, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally, like, why is this not written in today's age? Like, this is insane, everything that it's talking about. I really thought those books were so good, so, yeah.
I agree.
Thank you for letting me share my testimony with you guys.
Thanks for watching. Comment your always, because nobody ever does it.
Yeah, comment your
So
always
sad. I just want them
down
to.
below.
Oh,
and I forgot to say one thing. Ever since we started the podcast, I feel like it's also grown me spiritually a lot more too.
Me too.
Because I feel like every week I get to like dive deeper.
Learn more. Yeah.
And like dive deeper into topics, and it's like so that's also, this right here is growing my testimony every week. So.
Yeah. Okay.
We love you.
Jesus loves you. Bye-bye.